Hello, welcome to the channel. So sometime back I came across this concept of the poor man's power steering, which is just a really economical way to reduce the steering effort on a riding mower. So I bought a kit and I put it away in the shop thinking that the next time I had the mower in for service, I'd go ahead and install the kit. Well, I just finished up with the 150-hour maintenance on this Husqvarna garden tractor. So I thought today I'd go ahead and install that kit and see how it turns out. So let me go ahead and bring the mower into the shop and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So over a year ago or so, I came across this idea and I bought this little kit, which consists of 4 washers and a couple of needle bearings. So basically the needle bearings sit between these washers here, which helps to reduce friction. And these are going to go onto the bottom of the steering spindles to help ease the amount of effort that is required to steer the mower. I don't have any scientific way for measuring the potential improvement of adding the needle bearings, but what I thought I could at least do is demonstrate how much effort is required to turn these wheels back and forth while the tractor is stationary and sitting on my shop floor here. And then once I get the needle bearings in place, I'll go ahead and do this again, and hopefully the difference will be obvious. Now, something I wanted to point out, which may not be obvious, is the fact that these washers are actually different on one side versus the other. If you look very carefully, I don't think it'll show up on camera, but if you look carefully at the washer, you'll notice that on one edge it's rounded off on one side, and if you flip the washer over, the edge there is actually at a 90-degree angle, or it's flat. The rounded edges will actually go toward the needle bearing. So you'll have a round edge here, that'll go toward the needle bearing, and then on this side of the washer is rounded, that will go toward the needle bearing, so it'll be stacked up that way. Now something else I wanted to do is to add some of this here. This is AMSOIL heavy duty metal protector, and I've been using this for a number of years. It dries as kind of a waxy material, and it really reduces water ingress, and also it doesn't attract dirt like regular grease will. So I'm going to go ahead and spray these. I think this is going to make a big difference in making sure that these bearings are basically waterproof and will last a long time. I was actually curious to know if this stuff will increase the amount of rolling resistance of these bearings here. But I don't think so. I've used this on a number of applications before. It's actually designed to go on motorcycle chains and things like that. So it's not just a sealant, it also has some lubricity to it as well. So I think this is going to work out, but we'll find out pretty soon. Okay, so I've coated both sides of the needle bearings as well as all 4 washers with the heavy-duty metal protector. So I'm hoping that will help to seal and also lubricate the bearings. So the next thing I need to do, I need to go ahead and take apart the steering spindles and get the bearings into place. Okay, so let me show you the setup and the plan. So I've actually already installed the needle bearing on this side, so I kind of know what I'm doing now. I have the front of the tractor jacked up so it's off the ground a few inches. And down here is a little tiny bottle jack. I'm just using it to support the steering arm here. Now the plan here is that this dust cap has to be removed, and I need to heat it up in order to get it off of there. And then underneath there is going to be an E-clip and a washer, and those will come off, and then I can separate the spindle. Now what I found out is there is a little washer down at the very bottom here, and you can probably tell there's not a big gap. So I can't just install the needle bearing stack on top of that washer, because then I won't have enough room to get that E-clip back on. So that washer has to come off, and then I'll install the bearing stack, and then I can put everything back together and add new grease. So that's the plan. Let me go ahead and get started. Okay, I have my heat gun here. I'm going to go ahead and get this guy softened up. Okay, cap's off. Now I need to get some of this grease off so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this E-clamp off. Okay, E-clamp is off. And then here's a little washer. I'll clean these before I reinstall them. You can see here there's not a lot of gap between the top of this bushing here, and the E-clamp. So that's why that little washer on the bottom has to come off, because you need a bit of room here to get the E-clamp reinstalled. Okay, so now I can go ahead and drop down the bottom portion of the spindle. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get this pulled apart. There we go. Okay, so I have the spindle taken apart here. So there's that washer right here on the very bottom, and I found that this little tiny screwdriver worked pretty well to get it pried up. There it is. Okay, so that'll come off. There we go. I'll go ahead and clean this area down here. Okay, so I have the first washer. It's going to go flat side down. And then the needle bearing. And then the second washer, it'll go flat side up. Okay, so that was pretty simple. Now I just need to get this put back together. So now this is when the jack comes into play, because I can't hold this with one hand and put that clamp in place. So I'm just going to use the jack to hold everything together. There we go. Okay. Okay, put the top washer back on. Okay, so now I need to get the E-clamp back into place without shooting it across the room. There we go. Make sure that's on there good. Yeah. Okay, so I cleaned out the old grease out of this little dust cap, and I'll go ahead and put some new grease in. I'll add a bit of grease to the washer and E-clip as well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and reheat the little dust cap and try to get it back on. Now, I'm not saying you couldn't do this job without one of these little tools, but it made it easier. This is a cotter pen tool. It's for removing cotter pins. Comes in handy. Okay, so the dust cap's back on. Now all we need to do is add some more grease to the spindle. Okay, I got grease coming out there. So what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and move the wheels back and forth, get it kind of worked in there, and then I'll go ahead and grease it again. Okay, so we're done with this side. I just need to drop the front of the tractor down and try it out. Okay, so the tractor's back on the ground. I have the needle bearings installed on both sides. So let's see if I can feel a difference with regards to steering effort. Yeah, I don't know if it comes across in camera, but I can definitely feel a reduction in steering effort. I don't know if I'd call it power steering exactly, but it does feel that the effort has been reduced. So I guess the next thing I need to do is take the tractor outside and drive it around the yard a bit and see if I can feel a difference there. Okay, that is definitely a lot easier to steer. One finger. Well, I didn't notice a huge difference in steering effort while the mower was sitting here stationary on the shop floor. Once I got it out and moving around here on the property and the grass and the dirt and the gravel, the difference was a lot more noticeable. I was able to steer the tractor with only one finger, and I was definitely never able to do that before. So I think adding those needle bearings to the steering spindles was definitely a worthwhile upgrade. It only cost me around $6 or $7 and about an hour's worth of time, and I think it'll probably help to extend the life of my steering gear as well. So that's about all I have for this video, and we'll see you next time.